What's up, guys? Raziel here with another video for you, and today I want to talk about how we become the Warriors of Darkness in the coming expansion for Final Fantasy XIV, Shadowbringers. So, without further ado, let's speculate.
I am Raziel.
Well, guys, here we are. It's been about a week now since FanFest 2018 in Las Vegas closed, and we've had quite a bit of time to digest the wonderful things we saw there and to speculate on what the fuck is going on with our characters and why do we become the Warriors of Darkness. Now, this video is a little out of the norm for me. I don't normally make big lore videos. In fact, I think the last video where I talked about lore much at all in any kind of context was probably, my Drunk Raziel video, which was almost a year ago. But lore is a very big thing for me in MMOs. I love lore in games, and I love the lore in Final Fantasy XIV. I think it's probably the best story/lore in any MMO that's out now, or probably has ever been created. But that's up for debate. Anyway, there's a lot of YouTube channels and content creators that are much better about making lore focused content than I. But because the lore ties so heavily into what the entire next expansion even revolves around, I thought I would talk about it because I've thought about it quite a bit. I've done my research, and I went back into my inn and looked through some of the cutscenes to try to figure out the little hints they've been dropping in the story already at this point. So, a spoiler warning before I get any deeper. If you have not experienced the 4.2, 4.3, 4.4 and content, and the 4.45 content storyline, and you don't want to get spoiled, then I highly recommend you go watch some other fucking video on the internet. Maybe another one of those cat videos? I don't know. But you'll probably not want to watch this after this point, because I'm going in now. So, as we know from the trailer and from the FanFest announcement, our characters, which are the Warriors of Light, will become the Warriors of Darkness in this expansion. We will have to continue fighting against the Ascians, to continue fighting against the Empire. But why? Now, there's a couple possible scenarios here that I've brainstormed up, all based off of lore that's in the game, so it's not just completely off the top of my head. And I think I might be right, and I might be going in the right direction. So let's just go ahead, and I'll tell you my, first we'll go into the scenarios of why we would need to become Warriors of Darkness in the first place. Now, if you're unfamiliar with basic lore of Final Fantasy XIV, I'll lay a bit out for you right now. The Crystal of Light, Hydaelyn, which we are the Warriors and the Champions for, has a counterpart called Zodiark, which is technically a god or Crystal of Darkness, that they're always in opposition for each other. Naturally, the Crystal of Darkness likes power and craves it more than the Crystal of Light does. And if the balance gets knocked out and one side gets too heavily, swayed towards, the entire cosmos, essentially, that plane of existence ceases to exist. Pardon my dog shaking his fat floof around in the background if you heard that. But anyway, Hydaelyn has made us her champions of light, and in other existences, as we saw in the Warrior of Darkness questline in Heavensward, they were originally Warriors of Light from another existence, because light and dark both have to exist, and the power has to be balanced. If one disappears completely, it gets flooded and with whatever is left, darkness or light, and destroys everything essentially. So there needs to be a constant balance. However, it's been kind of the norm that Zodiark has been the one who has to have been kept in check, and the Ascians are the ones trying to give him all the power, trying to resurrect Zodiark completely so that he can plunge everything back into chaos. But if you didn't know that, you do now. So here are my scenarios of why we would even have the need to become a Warrior of Darkness in the first place. The first scenario, Hydaelyn is dying / dead, or is losing all of her power. This is something that is already being seen in the game. If you've done some of the cutscenes in the latest storyline arc, you will notice that all the crystals around the world, and not just in single areas, have no Aether in them anymore. It could be because of an outside influence, somebody is taking the Aether out, or it could just be there's none left. And if you're unfamiliar with what Aether is, if you played Final Fantasy VII, it's essentially like the life stream. Aether needs to exist, it creates life, it flows throughout all the planets and all the multiverses, and you need Aether to live, essentially, and for creation to exist at all. So Hydaelyn could be on her last leg here. We saw through the storyline in 2X and 3X of Minfilia becoming the voice of Hydaelyn, trying to give her power to keep Hydaelyn's life going, because Hydaelyn is growing very, very weak. So that's scenario one of why we would need to turn to a different power source, because Hydaelyn is dying or dead. Another one is Hydaelyn abandons us completely. It's in scenario 2 here, Hydaelyn could possibly no longer have a use for us, or think that we failed, or that we're not strong enough, and so abandons us altogether. I think this scenario is unlikely, but it is definitely possible. And tied into scenario 1, as I said, this next scenario could be very similar to scenario 1, but the Ascians could have found a way to cut us off from Hydaelyn, to sever our connection to the Echo, so that we can no longer benefit from Hydaelyn. We can no longer gain that kind of power. As you can see so far, through all these scenarios, these first 3 scenarios I've presented, it requires that Hydaelyn is no longer our guardian, no longer giving us power for one reason or another. Now, as I mentioned before I talk about this next scenario that isn't necessarily a cutoff from Hydaelyn, but essentially a way of fighting fire with fire. We've been fighting the Ascians in the darkness for, years now. So what if we try a different method, to this madness, and try to fight fire with fire, essentially? Now, if you have any knowledge on the lore of the Warriors of Darkness, which we helped defeated and then helped get back to their own world in Heavensward, you will notice that the one of the big things there is Zodiark's main emissary, Eldebus, the Ascian in the white robe. All the other Ascians wear black ones, but Eldebus wears a white one. He's his main emissary. He's the one who did the entire plot with the Warriors of Darkness in the first place, and it's been made pretty clear throughout the cutscenes and through the story that we have received that Eldebus kind of doesn't even give a shit about the other Ascians. He doesn't even care about them, which makes me wonder if all the Ascians even know what's going on, that even know the true intentions of Eldebus and Zodiark, or if they're being played themselves. Who knows? I mean, I'm sure more will get revealed about the Ascians in this next expansion, and we'll learn a lot more. And I could be completely off base, or I could be right as fuck. Guess we'll see. But as I said earlier, the Crystal of Darkness and Hydaelyn together form a yin and a yang kind of scenario, where one cannot exist without the other, though one is always trying to slightly have the upper hand over the other, eclipse the other a little bit. So if you saw in the 4.45 storyline, we started hearing a different voice from the Echo, which wasn't Hydaelyn's. Another voice which, just hearing it and being in contact with this being, put us in a lot of pain. But through the same kind of Echo-esque power, we were able to hear a voice saying we were the only ones that could help, that could stop it. Could this be Zodiark speaking to us? Could it be Eldebus trying the same kind of game, speaking to us through the Echo for some other reason? Or could it be another being of darkness from an alternate plane of existence? Another world that's in the fight between light and dark, and maybe light is the one overpowering that world and darkness is the one that needs the help, and so it's going to help us if we help it, kind of a scenario. Either way, it's pretty clear that the voice that we've been hearing in 4.45 is very, very clearly going to be the catalyst that pushes us into becoming Warriors of Darkness. Now, what that entity is, we have yet to find out, and I'm sure we will see and start to see the beginnings of in 4.5's 2 patches that come out in January and March. I mean, with the very title of the 4.5 patch, we can already see hints of what is going on in pushing us in this direction. They were joking about it at FanFest about the death of something. Now, as we know from the Warriors of Darkness, that they pretty much became Ascians in the sense that they were undying and they couldn't be killed, and they could travel between planes of existence much like the Ascians can. The only way to really destroy them was to destroy their aether, which is very hard, if not impossible, in most cases to do at all in the first place. So with the upcoming patches, we're going to start to find out, what if we get pushed in the same position? What if we lose our bodies? What if we, the Warriors of Light, die? What if we die? And so the only way to continue to exist and continue to fight is to master the darkness. Now, if you're not aware, the class in the game already, the Dark Knight, is already manipulating powers of Zodiark, but using them for good and using them in the service of the light. So it's already definitely possible. Just in the same way that even though the Warriors of Darkness were being manipulated, they still had their free will, even though they were using darkness to their advantage and no longer using a light crystal's power. So, you guys with me so far? Everything good? Everything honky-dory? Everything sound awesome? Alright, so those are the reasons I think we may be forced into it. Now, if I had to guess right out of the gate, I would say it's because Hydaelyn is losing power. And this voice, I don't think the voice itself is Zodiark himself. I think the voice is going to be some other entity that can teach us how to tap into Zodiark's power to keep Zodiark in check. Because if Zodiark gets too much power, the world's destroyed. If Hydaelyn had too much power, the world gets destroyed. So the balance needs to be maintained, and we're going to find out soon. Now, the next big thing that I wanted to talk about is, during the Fan Fest, we saw that it didn't say there was going to be 1 new job or 2 new jobs. And all the other expansions, Stormblood and Heavensward, on the first Fan Fest, it was very clear which jobs were coming. And this one, that wasn't the case. It just said many more jobs are coming in this expansion. Which leads me to believe that in the same way that when you hit level 30 in Final Fantasy XIV, you have to go get a crystal to become an advanced version of your job, i.e. Gladiator becomes Paladin, Lancer becomes Dragoon, etc., etc. So I am leaning towards heavily that the many new jobs are going to be complete revamps of all the jobs, in the sense that we become a more advanced and focused version of our job, such as maybe at level 70, 72, we'll have to undergo that change where we become the Warrior of Darkness, become the Warrior of Darkness, and we become an even more specialized and advanced version of our class, of our job. I mean, it's still beyond me how a Dark Knight can become a Darker Knight. I don't know. How would you become even darker? Moving on. So, a lot of people in that trailer, because Yoshi P said, hey, look at the trailer and you'll see hints of what the new jobs are. And everyone focused really hard on the gunblade that Thancred is seen to have in the trailer. I think that's a diversion. It may be possible we may be getting a job with the gunblade, or it may be possible that gunblades will just be added as a weapon for a class that already exists. It's very, I don't know, we'll see. But what I focused on, what I saw, is you saw the Warrior of Light in this, you know, representing our character, constantly shifting between his jobs, and then in the end he turned into a Dark Knight, but he embraced the darkness completely. He was shifting his job in combat. He was, and again, I don't think that's going to come to the game. I don't think you'll be able to shift your job in combat, not taking it that literally, but if you look, that's what I saw, was all the jobs shifting. So, which made me believe that that's the hint, that all the jobs are going to be able to become that job of darkness and get abilities that link into that. Now, what that means, will that mean, like, I don't know, like a Dark Knight can have a DPS, you know, advanced part and a tank advanced part, so he can be full DPS if he wants, or, you know, White Mage can, you know, use unholy magic or something if he wants to go full DPS and the other half is holy. I don't know. I have no idea how that is going to work if this is the case, but it makes a lot of sense to me that this is where the direction we are going, because adding complete new jobs every single expansion is hard. It's a lot of work, and to make sure they're balanced, and they're always, every new job is unbalanced, either way underpowered or way overpowered at the beginning of expansion, and then Square plays this fucking juggly game, much like every other MMO when they release a new class, of trying to get it balanced and in line with the other jobs by the end of the expansion. And that's something that's really hard to do every single time. You know, an entire new items, new weapons, new gear specific to that job. That's a lot of work. And I'm not saying, you know, Square, I think if Square does it this way, it's not because they're lazy, it's because it'll be a fun new direction to take things in. You know, to be a more advanced version of your class, and when your character embraces the darkness, something to that degree. That's my guess, though. And I'm not putting it out of the realm of possibility that Gunblade will be there. I think it will in one way or another, but will it be its own new job? I don't know. It could be. And I think that if they did add another endgame capable job, unlike the Blue Mage, that it would be that one Gunblade class, and it would be the only extra job added. But we will see. So, just the fact that they announced the new limited job in Blue Mage at FanFest, but still said many jobs, and the Blue Mage is clearly just a job that's just for fun. It's never meant to really go into endgame, not anytime in the near future, or probably at all in the next expansion. I really think that this is the direction they're going to go. So guys, that's my take on how we become the Warriors of Darkness and what may lead us up to there. I'm really excited for patch 4.5 to come out so we can get a start on this content that leads us to the Warrior of Darkness, because it's going to be painfully clear why we become the Warriors of Darkness, I'm sure, by the time the expansion launches. I don't think it's going to be a thing we find out at the beginning of the expansion. I think at the end of this expansion is when we're really going to know what's coming. But having been able to speculate and look, and I think it would be a very intelligent decision, however we become the Warriors of Darkness, I think it would be a very intelligent decision for Square to do something a little more interesting than just the stereotypical cookie cutter, here's a new job every expansion, or here's just a new race, a new job. I think it would be far more interesting if our jobs became even more specialized and more unique by becoming Warriors of Darkness. But anyway, guys, what do you think? Do you think there's anything behind what I said? Do you think that I'm way off base and I should just go fuck myself to death with a pineapple? Then by all means, you know, start typing away, calling me names, whatever. I don't give a shit. But if you have other ideas, other speculations that you yourself may have that I didn't mention, please put them down in the comments. I'd love to have a healthy conversation about it. But anyway, guys, this has been Raziel. Follow me on social media, which is up there in the corner, which is a Twitter, and follow me on my Twitch stream. My streaming schedule is up. You can come hang out with me. We have some drinks and have a good time and fuck around. But make sure you bring your toxic masculinity, because we all know how much the mobile industry hates that. So bring all that with you, and I will catch you again very soon with more content. And as always, guys, keep it real.